Welcome to Mixtapes, folks. I'm your host, Eric Stanglin, and right next to me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Mark Moots. Moots, what's going on this morning, my friend?
Well, today we're doing one of them shows that we like to call "Why Wasn't This Album Huge?"
Yes, we are.
Um, I
Your pick again this week.
My pick again. I do want to give proper credit to the podcast Radical Research, which is kind of what inspired me. It's a very cool podcast, actually, and I immediately, because I'm a fucking idiot, I forgot the guy's name, so I'm looking it up real quick.
Good job.
Oh, I'm gonna feel so stupid. Oh, come on.
I can edit this out.
It's live, pal.
It's live, pal.
the author Jeff Wagner, who's written a ton of really cool books. He has a book out about typo negative. He has a Fates Warning book. He has a new book out about Voivod that I definitely need to get.
Nice.
And then his buddy Hunter Ginn, and they talk about like straight up fringe metal,
Okay.
like all the weird bands that I like. They just did a hour and a half podcast on Watchtower.
Oh, wow.
They have shows on Realm and Arcturus and Last Crack and like all these like really cool outsider, proggy, strange, didn't fit in to the mainstream bands.
Right.
But so go listen to Radical Research. Tell them that we sent you. They did an episode where Hunter, in particular, it says Hunter gets 12 minutes to state his case for Chum.
Okay.
And so I was listening to it, and I really liked the Chum record. Chum released an album called Dead to the World in 1996 on Century Media Records, and I loved it. But them talking about how cool this record is reminded me how cool this record is. And so I figured this is a good one for us to talk about.
100%. Full disclosure, folks, I already knew the album. I got to check it out and listen to it and whatnot, so I'm not going into this blind because then the show would make no sense.
No, it'd be really
you'd be
weird.
telling me how cool this record was, and I would just be going, okay, and not knowing. So I checked it out, and I agree with you. And I think this is a great topic today. This is a great album to choose because it's one of those records, just in my opinion, folks. And we hope you listen to the record,
Yes.
obviously. But it's one of those records where it's ahead of its time.
Mm-hmm.
I also think as I was researching it, it gets lumped into categories it doesn't belong.
Mm-hmm.
There's great singing on this record. The riffs are great. It's just a very solid record, and it when I kept hearing 96 in my head, I was like, how did I not know about this album back then? Because I was in that demographic,
Yeah.
like big time in that. I mean, it's kind of funny because they kind of got labeled new metal. I don't think they're new metal whatsoever.
Yeah.
There's little tastes of things, but like not enough to put it in that genre. That genre doesn't even really totally exist back then too at that time period. It's like people are still trying to figure stuff out. So like
Yeah.
bands like the Deftones get thrown into new metal, and they did that pivot where no, we're not new
Mhm.
metal. You got your Limp Bizkits. They sound nothing like Limp Bizkit.
No.
They don't sound like Korn. I mean, there's little
No.
things, but the tunings are way different.
Yes. Vocals are
way different vocals. I mean, the singer of this band, his vocals are just I love him a lot. I mean, they remind me of like being ahead of the curve Seven Dust a little bit, vocally.
Yeah.
Like there's things that just I don't know, man. This is going to be an interesting one to talk about. Looking at the track list, you know, every song is in almost a 5-minute range. I wonder if that hurt them or not. There's no 3.5, 4 minute tune, and I didn't think there needed to be, by the way. So like listening
No.
to it, I'm not like, oh man, like I know why this album didn't hit. Like they should have, cut these songs by a minute and a half, 2 minutes. I never got that vibe. Listen, I've listened to it about 4 times right now. You know what I mean? And
Sure.
I never got that vibe. So what uh, what are your thoughts? Like let's chop this one up a bit.
I think there's a couple things. Like I said, they were on Century Media, and Century Media Records was they were releasing stuff like crazy at that
Right,
point. I mean,
right.
and but mostly death metal.
Which they are
Um,
not.
they had like yeah, they had these guys. They had Chum. They had Only Living Witness. They had a band called Stuck Mojo that was like one of the first rap metal bands I
Hmm.
could think of.
Yeah.
But everything else was kind of like mostly European death metal. And it was cool, but like they didn't have a lot of push or weight just yet.
Right.
Um, I think that Chum lands in similar waters, pun intended, I suppose, to a band like Only Living Witness, where they don't sound like what's going on. Um,
Right.
they are they're heavy. I mean, and riffy,
Yeah.
very
Definitely
much
riffy.
so.
Definitely riffy.
But the vocals are like really melodic, and
Uh-huh.
I feel like really smart.
Yeah.
Like his melodies are really smart.
Yes, I
Um,
agree.
lyrics are really cool and kind of ambiguous and abstract. Um, and speaking from my record store days with it, it was very much like a lot of the stuff we talk about, where it's like, this isn't a wide audience, but it's
Yeah.
a very specific like demographic of
Right.
people who are willing to accept something that might be a little different than where they're at right now.
Right.
Um, and the people who did get it, they got it, but a lot of
Yeah.
people, it just wasn't connecting. And I'm not entirely sure why. I think the songs, like you said, they're all in the 5 minute range, but I don't feel like there's a lot of fat to be trimmed.
No, I don't either.
I feel like the songs are strong and they make sense. I think it's just one of those bands that maybe kind of suffered from the usual the usual stuff, where it's like the audience that was there for them didn't get a chance to find them.
Yeah, when you listen to this record, ladies and gentlemen, and I do think a lot of our audience is going to like this record.
Yeah,
It's like you can tell sometimes being ahead of the curve is not the best thing in the world. And I
for
don't
sure.
fault the band for that at all because like write what you want to write, man. Like, but like sometimes you need like that one band that kind of like, I don't know, or that one little movement that starts it off, and then it seems like some of the other bands that come out of that after it are like, all right, like this is where that's at. But if you really do think about that time period, there's a lot of, well, we're talking 96, right? So if I go back in the
Hmm.
Wayback Machine, Corn, you got, Phil doing the
Yeah,
screaming, which is
yeah.
a lot of people start trying to be Phil. You
Hmm.
got Rob Zombie, where he's got
Hmm.
that like talky, not rappy type of we don't know what the fuck you're saying type of thing.
Yeah.
And you start thinking of all these bands in that type of category. And I do think this is interesting, right? We kind of went away from a lot of singing in metal in that
Yeah.
time period. And like I'm not calling corn metal or I'm just trying to say like in heavy music it's more fair, right?
Yeah.
You start getting away from singing. And then I think the hardest part about that was like, and I'm not, and trust me, I'm not discounting this, okay? Um, but it's like anybody can kind of scream into a microphone. Obviously, there's techniques and talents and stuff like
Yeah.
that, and the cream will always rise to the top, right? Macho
Oh
man.
yeah.
But I
I
do
could already
believe.
see the little meme
Oh
pop
God, I
up.
can't wait.
It's happening.
But I do believe that that did hurt a lot of metal because the people that were singers almost got pushed aside for a bit. And
Yeah.
that's, maybe that happens to those guys where it's like, oh, it's not cool to sing right now, and it's cool to scream and whine and whatever the fuck's going on.
Hmm.
And then it's like, no, but this record's really good. Okay, well, but then how do we get it to the people that want the good record? Because, like I said,
Yeah.
if I heard this in '96, I would have been all over this record. But
Yeah.
then yet again, think about this, and they're not metal, right? But like, you got Rage Against the Machine.
Hmm.
Like, what else you got in '95? Like '95, '96. Soundgarden is
Yeah.
almost at
Still.
their zenith. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Alice in Chains is crashing, but still putting out albums that are strong. I mean, what do you really have? It's weird. It's like they're in that weird, and the reason why I brought
Yeah.
Seven Dust is because they do sound, they have Seven Dust qualities vocally in
Hmm.
terms of really great melody.
Yeah.
And I'm not
Well, I think
taking that
even
away.
riffiness is
Yeah, and not tuned down as much. I would say they were
no,
in C sharp probably.
probably.
C sharp sounded to my ear. I could be
Yeah.
wrong, but it's not B or A.
No.
You know what I mean? I don't know, man. It's a mystery to me on why this wasn't bigger. Um, any songs you want to touch on? Any memories you had of like, because I'm sure you got this as an advance, right?
I did. Yeah, I had it in the little paper sleeve, you know.
Oh, nice.
Um, I think that honestly, I think the first three songs are like kind of that perfect, like 1, 2, 3 punch that
I
we talk
agree.
about.
I agree.
Um, so stepping on cracks, halfway home, kindling kind, like I was hooked.
Yeah.
By the end of kindling kind, I was like, oh my God, this is incredible.
Yeah.
Um, Live in a Circle's really good. Untouchable's really good. The title track, Dead to the World's really good. Angels in the Snow, I think, is so powerful. It's probably my favorite song on the album. And it's just Chum was able to it created like there's an atmosphere, and they're not like a cinematic atmospheric band, but
Right.
when I listen to this band, there's like a feeling that they evoke.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's like, they're heavy and riffy, but there is this like sort of melancholy to it that, as anybody who knows me knows, I love sad shit. Makes me happy. But like, I feel like it's just, there's an overwhelming quality to this stuff. Like their tone is good.
Yes.
John, the singer, has a really unique tone and
Yeah.
sound to his voice, but
Especially
like
in
we've said, the
'96.
melodies are crazy smart and good.
Yep.
Um, and then they do a Prince cover at the end.
Yeah. Well, I mean, great little way to, put a little bow on the record. I will tell you
Yeah.
this. I'm listening with different ears, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
right? Because I'm hearing this almost 30 years later.
Yes.
I got Undertow vibes by Tool
Oh, okay.
on like the melancholy type of, you know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? And not like, and I say that with much respect.
Sure.
Not like, oh, they're ripping off Tool in this part. Like, you got to remember, everybody's coming out at the same time at that point,
Yeah.
right? So I think the band started in like '92, from what I read, and then I
Mm-hmm.
think they got rolling in '94, somewhere around there, and then they put out this record in '96, right? Somewhere rolling, yeah. Oh God, please don't. I saw a video, by the way, real quick, little side note. I saw a video, by the way, of Limp Bizkit playing in South America. Okay, and the whole entire arena was losing their fucking mind during break stuff.
I bet.
Like, no, I'm talking people in the seats.
Yeah.
I've never seen that. Like you remember back in the old days, you go to a show and you go see like, Suicidal, and people be moshing, and there's just to the house music, like it's going to be one of those shows. But you
Yeah.
didn't see people fucking going nuts I mean, these people are literally jumping up and down in the seated sections. I'm like, what in the fuck? I mean, you probably never got to play South America. Was always a bucket list thing for me
No,
when I started seeing how much these people lose their mind over. You know what I mean? Um,
everything I've ever seen from South America, whether it was like old Queen footage or Kiss footage or
yeah,
like their
they're
Iron Maiden,
nuts, dude. They're
like
nuts.
they're they are
It,
into that
and
shit.
dude, I need to go to South America just to see a show,
It'd be
just to
amazing.
just
Yeah.
to be a part of it. But to get back to Chum,
Yes.
um, like so if you're in that 95, 96 range where you're writing this stuff, like you're in the DNA of just what's going on. You know what I
Hmm.
mean? So I what I love about this band is I can hear like I said like a little Seven Dust ahead of their time, right? I can hear
Yeah.
a little bit of that Tool Undertow type of vibe. I can hear that in there. I can hear a little Sabbath too,
Yeah, for
little
sure.
little Black Sabbath in there.
Yes,
Not
sir.
like more like riff, but like a cool drums that are not Ward, like swingy drums. More like
Hmm.
you can hear a lot of what's going on at that time period, but authentic.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
No,
maybe that hurt them too because I don't know. I mean, it'll be interesting to learn a little more.
well, speaking of which, um,
Yeah.
as we seem to be lucky enough to get,
Yes.
I actually reached out to John Lancaster, the singer guitar player of Chum, and he agreed to be on our little show, and we're going to talk about this album.
I'm so excited for
Me
this.
too. Me too.
And let's get him on the show.
Let's go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mixtapes. I'm your host, Eric Stanglin, and right next to me, as always, is my co-host, Mr. Mark Moots. Moots, what's going on this morning, my friend?
Well, today I'm really excited because we're doing another one of those why wasn't this album huge kind of deals,
Yep.
and it's an album that I love and have for a very long time, and I'm super grateful that we get to speak to the man who is on that record and sang the words and made it happen. So today we get to talk to John Lancaster of the band Chum. John, how are you?
Doing good. How you guys doing today?
We're
Doing really
doing
good, man.
wonderful. Hey,
Really
Good.
good.
before we start, real quick, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for subscribing, all that stuff, YouTube, Patreon, all that good stuff. Want to get that out of the way. Don't want to hit you with ads or anything like that. We just want to get into a good conversation. So let's continue.
That's right. Housekeeping.
You're right.
Um, cool. So I guess the best way to start any of this is kind of to go to the beginning, right?
Okay.
Um, can you kind of give me an idea of how the band started?
Oh man, I was afraid you're going to ask
Okay.
that. That's a long time ago. I think well, Chris and Mac, the bass player and guitar player, we've known each other for years. I mean, since high school, and we played in some we played music together in high school and just kind of off and on. And the way I remember it, I was living in Lexington, Kentucky at the time, and Chris and Mac, they had some kind of a band together that they were working on. And I think the band that I was in was kind of ending, and we were just kind of like, hey, let's try this again. Of course, at that time, our taste had changed quite a bit to like, little bit heavier stuff.
Sure.
So the best that I remember is we started playing in the basement of this house that I was living in at the time, and it kind of took off. And like there was the drummer for the previous band I was in. His name was Chuck Nicholas, and that's he was playing with us. He was like my best friend, and we played in a couple of bands together. But once we got the four of us in the room together, it was just like it just took off, and there was like a I don't know, it was not it wasn't difficult. I mean, it's just we get in a room together and everything just kind of clicked, and it clicked fast. So And from there, we just started playing gigs, and um, it just kind of took off from there. And that's probably around, I want to say like 94, I think 94. And then around 95, we put out, throughout 95, we put out two different 5-song demos. And I think they were both on cassette. So
Sure.
that's why I can't remember. It was a long time ago. So, um, so, things were kind of picking up steam for us. And I think as far as like the Century Media relationship, that started, we would do like some like road gigs here and there. We ended up we played a gig at CBGB's. And
Okay.
we had a friend that I think he was managing a band called Karma to Burn at the time. I don't know if
Oh
you
yeah.
know those guys. Um, but he helped us get some people to come see us at that gig. And so we showed up, we played the gig, and we thought nobody came because we played, nobody came up to say, "Hey, I'm so and so from so and so records." And we're just like, well, that's a bummer of a trip. But it turned out like I think um Monty Connor from Roadrunner was there, and
Hmm.
somebody from Sony and a couple other people. We heard from them later, and then, except Monty, he actually passed us on to Century Media because for some I can't remember what we were told, but they didn't really have like a place for us at the time, but he thought Century Media would.
Okay.
So that's how that connection um, got started. So, and the interesting thing fast forward, we signed a deal with Century Media, and we never met anybody from Century Media in person
Oh,
ever to
wow.
this
Wow.
day. Yeah, it was kind of like, is this okay? I mean, we did not, I don't know, we didn't really pay much attention to the contract like we should have. We were just kind of
Young
like,
and
wow, this is
stoked.
better than anything. What else are we going to do? This is better than
Yeah,
anything going on right now. It was
Totally.
unfortunate. That was the attitude we took. So, um,
Yeah.
but yeah, that then the whole thing with Century Media started, and um, trying to think. I know that like before we started on the record, I think they took a demo song or two of ours and put it on a Century Media sampler. I think it was one of those identity samplers.
Yep.
So that kind of got things moving a little bit. And and it came time to record the record. We recorded the record in 95. And the bummer of that whole session was right before we were going into the studio to record this record, our drummer Chuck told us he was leaving to go play with Karma to Burn.
Oh,
So that was kind of a bummer. Like, the session was kind of tense, and just knowing that, like, well, we got to find another drummer. And what we really didn't realize at the time is finding a replacement for Chuck was it's hard because he was such a strong part of like our sound. I mean, he has a very specific playing style that is hard to replace. So, we finished the record, and then I think after that we went through a couple of different drummers
okay.
for the following. Um, I don't know. I guess the record came out in 96, April of 96. So next month will be 30 years.
Yeah.
Which is insane to me. It's funny. It's like I'm like, doesn't seem like 30 years, but then when I'm sitting here trying to remember details, like, yeah, it's 30 years.
Yeah. Yeah,
But
I understand.
yeah, so yeah, we put out the record. We tried to we did a couple of tours. Like every time we tried to go on the road, it was just always a disaster.
mm,
So and I think that's one of the things that held us back is we just didn't get out there like we should have, but we didn't have the resources, and it's just every time we did, it was just I mean, I can't even, you know, disasters from like, you know, van disasters, disasters with club owners, just, I don't, you name it. I mean, it's nothing new. Everybody goes through it, but I
Yeah,
think that's one of the things that kind of, you know, slowed us down is just we just weren't able to stay out there like we should have.
sure. I mean,
And
it is tough, especially when you're at the brand new band trying to break through stage, and like
yeah,
it's hard to call the label and be like, hey man, like we need money to stay
yeah,
alive. And they'll give you sometimes
yeah.
tour money, but then you owe them that shit, right?
Oh yeah,
So like all of a sudden you added several grand onto the money you're never going to pay back anyway, which just
yeah,
pushes your possibility of making 7 cents a CD
yeah.
further out. um it's a tough gig. I did the same thing.
Hmm.
A few years after you did, I
Yeah,
signed to a label and we were doing the whole thing. And yeah, it's a rough life. And you start realizing that when bands do break through, it's like, God, they worked so hard,
I know.
or they got so lucky.
Yeah.
Usually a mixture, I think, you
Yeah,
know.
a lot of our peers that were, that ended up doing really well. I mean, I look at how long they would just stay on the road. I'm just like, I mean, we definitely came up short there. I mean, I think that was one of the missing elements for us. It was just
Sure.
we just didn't really have the resources to do that at the time, you know.
How old were you guys when all this went down?
Um, let's see. I guess I would have been 23, 24, something
Okay.
like that.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's tough because at that age, you're young enough to be like, fuck yeah, let's go, but also you're
Mhm.
broke.
Yeah. Oh man. Yeah.
So it's kind of it's hard to, and I do think that you guys were, it was really interesting because you're one of those bands that I find sort of hard to place,
Yeah.
which I think is a strength as a music
Mhm.
fan. But as a working in the record store, I knew if certain people came in, I could be like, okay, this is
Yeah.
for
Right. Yeah.
you. But it also didn't connect with people who were looking for kind of the normal shit,
Yeah.
right? And again, as a music store like record snob, for me that made you one of my favorite bands, because it was like these guys are different and this is cool. But it did kind of the curve is harder when
Yeah.
you're doing something that sounds different, I think. um
You mentioned that you said something about this podcast being a sort of why wasn't this bigger type thing.
mm,
It's not really something I ever thought about, but when I started thinking about that, that's one of the things I wonder is if just we were always kind of difficult to put a label on. I don't know. I mean, I'm like you. I think a lot of my favorite bands are like that. You can't really describe them. But I don't know if maybe that kind of hurt us too. I don't really know. And I'm not saying that we were, out there breaking new ground or anything, but I do feel like at the time there wasn't a whole lot of bands doing like riffy stuff, but with melodic vocals.
yes.
At that time, that was, I mean, I'm not saying we didn't start that or anything, but I mean, there wasn't a lot of bands doing that at the time.
For
So
sure.
that's another thing too. I always wondered if that was one of those things like that kind of throws people and they can't really put a label on it. So that I don't know. I mean, it's hard to understand what people are thinking sometimes.
Well, let me throw my 2 cents in because I didn't know of you guys back in the day, but
Mhm.
Mark was like, "Hey, we should get these guys on, check out this record." And I checked it out and I was like, "Wow, this is really cool." And then I'm looking and doing a little research. I'm like, "Okay, 96, okay." And I'm hearing stuff where I feel like that might have hurt you guys because they're compared you to Corn, and you don't
Mhm.
sound like Corn in my opinion. Like
Yeah.
I hear you almost ahead of the game on certain things where I hear Seven Dust type of vibe in there vocally, which was not going on at all, like you just said. I hear Sabbathy type of riffs, but like groovy type of oriented stuff. I feel like the melodic melodies with some of the screaming stuff. No one was really doing that like you guys were doing back then. So I almost feel like maybe when people are putting out press releases, it's almost hurting you guys because someone's like, "Oh, cool! Like they sound like Corn," and they get and they're like, "It's not Corn." So it's almost like they're not finding your target audience, if that makes
Right.
sense. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
I think a
That
lot
was
of
my
times
take.
people, yeah, I mean, I think a lot of times people like to be able to compare something to something else too. So
Yeah.
yeah, no,
Sure.
you can bang your head against the wall trying to figure it out. That's for sure.
The funny thing to me is, so when you and I first were exchanging messages and stuff,
Mhm.
I mentioned it to the other one of the guys of my band, and he was like, "Oh, I don't know that record." And so I sent it to him, and like 10 minutes later, he was like, "Where the fuck have I been? Like, this is amazing." And I was like, it
That's cool.
is."
Awesome.
And to be fair, it's also kind of funny because I was been revisiting the album a lot lately, and I was like, God, I rip you guys off a lot. So thank you.
Hey, man.
Thank you. Uh, just to clarify, I feel like I read something way back when that said that one of the original producer ideas that you guys had was Doug Pinnick. Is that correct?
Um, I don't know if that ever came up or not. It's I got to be friends with him. Like I met him back in like '94, and
Okay.
I'm a huge King's X fan.
Yes, sir.
And I went to one of their shows, and at the time, those cassette demos that we had, I met him, and I was like, of course, I'm like, here's our demo.
Yep, yep.
He stayed in touch and like loved it. He was always a big fan of us, and I don't remember if we ever discussed that or not. I mean, I would have been all for it at the time for sure, but yeah, I don't. It's possible, but I don't think if it may have been casually mentioned in a conversation, like, hey, you want to produce us? You know, kind of like, you know,
Yeah.
not like an official conversation,
Okay.
Because
but yeah,
I read that too just
mhm,
recently, and I also read Ross was another one that you guys were
that was
looking at.
true.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually he was the guy. It was supposed to be him, and I actually took a few phone calls from him because he was already like listening to our demos, and he was calling me up and giving me some notes on like my vocals and things for me to try and this and that. And he was telling me he was planning on coming to here in Huntington, West Virginia. He was planning to come here for a week with us, and then we were supposed to go and record with him. And I forget the name of the studio, but it's in Malibu. It's where he was doing a lot of this stuff
Yeah.
back in the day. I forget the name of it. So at the time, I was like, wow, this is going to be really cool. And it was just before he kind of took off as a producer. I think the Corn record had just come out,
Mhm.
and to my knowledge, what happened there was I think the label had offered him, you know, probably a small amount, and then a band came along and offered him a pretty hefty amount to produce them, and he
Right.
went with them. I think the band was Manhole. Do you remember them?
Yeah, with Terry B, right?
I
The
don't I don't remember. Did they change their name eventually or something?
They
Or
did, and something ruin, my ruin.
okay, I
Yeah,
think it was
manhole.
them.
It was Terry B was, she like rapped and screamed, and
Oh, really?
yeah, no,
I don't.
I totally remember them.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was them. I might. I don't know if I'm getting that right or not, but I think it was. But yeah, I think that was they offered him a lot more money, and he was just like gone.
Sure.
Yeah.
But you
Unfortunate.
know, so we ended up going with a guy the guy that produced our demos. His name is David Barrick, and
Mhm.
he's in Glasgow, Kentucky.
Okay.
And he's a great guy. I've not seen Dave in years, but we've been talking a little bit recently. But um yeah, I don't regret recording with him at all. I mean, even though the session was kind of doom and gloom, with Chuck leaving the band and everything, but I always liked working with Dave. He's a great guy.
I mean, the record sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I think it holds up still. Like, it doesn't sound dated to me.
No, me
Like,
neither.
a lot of albums from that time can sound very of that time.
Right. Yeah, I know what you mean. Well, it may have been a good thing too. Like, like you were saying, you heard a little bit of Korn. Ross Robinson may have tried to pull that out more, and that, I don't know.
Yeah, you're reading my mind on that one, because it's like
Yeah.
a producer has a certain sound in a certain studio, and like what's happening, and yeah, I think it was probably hindsight 2020. It's probably great that you got to record with who you did, and I
Yeah.
wonder how much that made a difference or not in terms of if you had gone with him. Like, do you get
Yeah.
more eyes on the project because he's not big yet, right? He did Fear Factory before Korn, and then did
Oh, did he?
Korn. Yeah, he did a Fear
Okay.
Factory record, and then
That didn't come out.
oh, it didn't come out.
No.
Oh,
Oh, is
and
that the one that they held on to?
Yeah, because
Okay.
Colin Richardson produced those Fear Factory albums,
oh,
Yeah.
interesting,
but
interesting.
Ross did their demo and was going to do the first album,
Oh,
but that got held back.
and then what's he do after that? I mean, is it right to Limp Bizkit after that?
No, he did a
Sure.
bunch of other, like, kind of upstart new metal things.
Yeah.
He obviously Slipknot, but
Sure.
anyway,
Yeah, but I mean, I
I
think
don't
it might
I
have been
don't
a good
think
thing for
I
you
don't think he
guys.
would have done you guys favors.
No, I don't think so either, to be honest with you. I think
Yeah, I
I
don't
think
think I would have appreciated, him trying to make me melt down in the vocal booth either. That
I
seems
was going to ask how's your dodge, because he'll throw shit at you apparently.
Yeah, so I don't know. I've read stories about that, and I'm kind of like, I don't. That wouldn't have. I wouldn't have taken it that very well. I don't think. But oh well,
Lem-
everybody's got their own
Hey,
methods, I guess.
totally.
Let me ask you this. Who were you going out with at that time when you guys were pushing the record?
Well, one of the one of the disaster tours we did was some friends of ours called My Own Victim. They're like a hardcore band. They're on Century Media also. Um, and then really all the other stuff, we're just going out, just doing shows by ourselves, and we might be opening for somebody here or there. But that was one of the things, because I remember talking with somebody at the label saying, we really want to get on, an opening slot with somebody,
Yeah.
if you guys could help us, because that would be huge for us. And I don't remember what somebody there said something to the effect of like, it's really all going to be on you to find tours.
Really?
Wow.
Ugh. But I do remember at one point there was another Century Media band that um, they were trying to get us on a tour with, and I thought, well, that will get us in front of some people. So we were down for that, but then that band like turned us down, said they didn't want us on the tour. So I was just like, I'm like, man, these people are on your label. You tell them that you're going to take us, but I don't know. But so it was just things like that. Every time we would try to do something, it was just a struggle. I mean, and it's kind of funny because now it's like, or not now, but like looking forward, like where like there's like Ozfest and all this stuff. There's like Century Media bands on Ozfest. I'm like, huh, okay, I see how it is. It's like that would have been helpful. Something like that would have been helpful, but whatever. It is what it is. It's just one of the many things that just kind of slowed us down when we were, most active.
Well, that Ozfest buy-on wouldn't have helped your recoupables much.
That's true. That's true.
Good
We would have
point.
been in front of people, but who knows if it had even helped us in the long run. But
Yeah, I mean, you
but
pay $50K to go
that's
on at
true.
11:45 in the morning.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's true.
Not
You
sure
know,
what the ROI is on that, other than you get to go to heavy metal summer camp, I guess.
That would be fun for sure.
But
But
well,
that would be.
You know, one of the things I love about this show is, especially for our listeners that have not heard you guys and want to go check you guys out, is we kind of peel back the curtain a bit. So we get a better idea. Like I think a lot of people, musicians, we all understand each other. But people that are just listening to music, they're like, oh, why didn't that band get huge? And we're lucky enough to have you on the show because now we're starting to see more of the picture of like, if you're not getting to go out for a 6 week run with Korn or like a 3 month run with, you know, another band in that time period, I'm not going to say genre, but in that time period, and the label's basically saying to you, hey, you got to do your, you know, find your own tours, and you're in West Virginia of all places. I mean, it's not like you're in, you know, Austin or New York or, you know, San
Yeah.
Diego. It's like, how many people knew that? Did you know that, Mark? You know what I mean? This is the beautiful thing about this
No.
show. It's like now people start to understand more. It's like when you get the contract, it doesn't mean, hey, everything's roses and rainbows and now we're good and we're making millions. It's like, okay, here's the next step on trying to get you to the next level. And I don't think people realize how many levels there are before you actually, you know what I mean? So, like, let me ask you this. Um, so the tour thing is tough, and obviously that equates to sales back then, right? How was the push in the record stores? Did you feel like you were getting an adequate push, or like were you competing against way too much stuff that, or was the budget just not there? I mean, you know, these are questions that, you know, run through my mind as a musician of like, this is a good album. Why isn't this getting more of a push?
Well, like I said before, I kind of feel like, we weren't really on top of things like we should have been. But that said, I do feel like in the beginning, it did seem like they were actually putting a bit of a push out there for us. I mean, we were, popping up in magazines and I know they did that. You were in the record store. I don't know if you got one of these, but they did the promo item. It was the little jars of actual chum. Did you get
Yeah.
one of those?
Yes, I did have
Yeah.
one.
I mean, a lot of people to this day will mention that to me, and it's like, yeah, that was that was pretty brutal. But I mean, not that that's going to break a record or anything, but I mean, they were. It did seem like there was an effort there in the beginning, but then it just kind of died out there.
I think the interesting thing about it is that like we think of Century Media now as like a really prominent like label, and Century Media was kind of an upstart at that point. Like
Mhm.
they didn't have anything that was huge,
Yeah,
and I do remember they put out a lot of music.
yeah,
Um, and so I think that they were just trying to figure out. Plus, I mean, the main office is in Europe, in Germany, I think,
yeah.
and then there's like what Borvoy is over here running the LA office or whatever. And
Mhm.
I had friends that worked at Century Media, and they were very happy. But it took, man, that label didn't really take off until 2000,
Yeah,
and then they started signing bands that like kind of blew up.
yeah.
You know, they got, God Forbid and Shadows Fall and all of this stuff that starts selling. And before then, it was like they were a cool metal label, but they weren't like Metal Blade or Roadrunner
Right.
yet.
Yeah, at the time, I remember thinking like Roadrunner would be like the ideal label because there was enough of a mix
Yeah.
there that I
Yep.
thought we would have fit in there pretty well. But I
We would
remember
have.
initial thought on being on Century Media is like all I really knew of Century Media was like, a lot of the death metal stuff at
Mm-hmm.
the time. So I was just kind of like, oh, okay. Yeah. Then as I looked closer, then I realized Strapping Young Lab was on there. So I was like, ooh,
Yes,
okay.
sir.
I can sink my teeth into that, and then I didn't really get into I hadn't heard of Only Living Witness until we actually signed with them. And of course
Yeah.
I think that they're like they were like one of the best bands on it at the time too.
Oh, for sure.
Oh, hands
And
down.
but yeah, it was interesting. My initial thought was like, well, this is kind of weird that they're asking us on here, but then we thought, well, maybe they're trying to make that move where they're branching out, so
Yeah.
let's see
No, and
what
I think that Witness was a good sort of bookend for that label with you guys. I don't think you guys sound the same, but there is a similar
yeah,
mindset, I suppose.
Yeah,
Heavy, riffy, melodic vocals.
that's
Um,
yeah,
and it was really unique. I mean, Roadrunner had, I guess, Life of Agony, right? Like that would
yeah,
have been,
they did, yeah.
that would have been decent. But
Mhm.
okay, I kind of want to talk about some of these songs, and it's funny because I don't like asking what songs are about because I prefer to think they're about what I think they're about, you know.
Yeah,
So, but like,
I may not remember either. To
well,
be,
that's it. It might be totally different now.
I ran into that like when we were doing like this reunion show last year,
Hmm.
the first one. When I started kind of relearning all the music, I remember looking at the lyrics to some of these songs. I'm like, what? I don't even know. I don't even remember what I mean, I think a lot of the lyrical stuff that I was doing back then, and to an extent now, it would start with a theme or an idea, but then like, like stream of consciousness would kind of
Yeah.
take over, just kind of take it into a different direction. I think there was a lot of that going on that record. So,
Yeah. I think there's cool. I don't know. It's not like I thought you were like an issue guy where you were
mhm,
writing about something.
mhm,
There's like some really cool poetic moments in a lot of these lyrics, and a lot of them, like "Angels in the Snow," I think it's just so the lyrics are so cool. The song's fucking great, but like I can see it
yeah.
like when you're singing about it. And so
Mhm.
I guess I don't know that I want to talk about the songs, but I just wanted to tell you that your lyrics are fucking
Oh,
cool.
thanks,
So
man. I appreciate it. That's
um
actually the hardest part for me,
yeah,
process is lyrics. I mean, that's the
yeah,
part it takes me a while. I can come up with melodies, I can come up with guitar riffs. I mean, just no problem. But lyrics, I really have to just slow down and take my time with.
sure. What prompted the Prince cover?
My memory of that was I was in a band before Chum called Guru Love Child. That was the name of the band. And we were a three-piece, and another band where I really couldn't explain what it was, just off the rails. Um, Not really heavy, but just kind of I don't know. It was completely different from Chum. It's hard to really explain it, but we did a cover of Darling Nikki, but it was not what like the version you hear with Chum. So, but we were doing that towards the end of that band, and for I guess when Chum got together, we decided to do like a heavier version of it. And that was kind of a part of our live sets at the time.
Hmm.
And so when it came time to record the record, we recorded everything. We finished all the tracks, and we had a little bit of time at the end of the night, the last night of tracking, and we were like, well, let's cut a live version of this just to have it. We had no intention of
Hmm.
putting it on the record. We just wanted to have a copy of it. So we recorded it, and I think from best of my recollection, it was a live take, but then we went back and like, double the guitars, and then I dubbed in the vocals after.
Okay.
And if I remember correctly on the vocals, that may have been close to one take, maybe a couple takes. I mean, you can kind of tell like at the end my voice is cracking, and I
Sure.
mean, we had no intention of putting it on the record. We just wanted to have it. And then at some point, like I guess whenever we would record stuff, Dave, the engineer producer, he would send tapes to Century Media just to hear progress. And I guess they heard it, and they're like, that needs to be on the record. And we are like, really? I remember I was kind of like, oh, that's kind of cool. But at the same time, they were like pulling in a couple of other songs that we had recorded just to make room for it. So I was kind of bummed about that. But I mean, that's what they wanted it on there. So it
Sure.
wasn't really a plan on our part. So, um, but it helped get some attention here and there. So it did what it was supposed to do, I guess. But
Yeah, I think it was it's unexpected,
Yeah.
and it doesn't feel kitschy.
Hmm.
You know, sometimes, especially back then, metal bands would cover not metal songs, and it would feel really forced and kind
Yeah.
of like, oh, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
I don't feel like your version of that song feels that way. It sounds like you guys, um, but it's all, I mean, fucking Prince, right?
Yeah,
So
I mean, you can't go wrong there. But
yeah, it's not like he
that's the
ever
other thing
wrote a
too. It's
bad
like when
anything.
you're covering Prince, it's kind of like then you're gonna have to deal with people who are like, "How dare you cover Prince?" And
Right. Right.
so
Yeah,
that was
there's
another thing when they wanted to put down the record. I'm like, "Oh no, here comes the hate." You know?
Sure. Sure.
So there was some of that for sure, but
sure.
it is what it is. So
No, I think it's really fun and it's really cool. It was surprising. I remember the first time I
mhm.
listened because you know how it was back then. You get a CD and like growing up, it was like I knew all of the liner notes. I knew every song title of every album that I
Yeah,
owned. I knew everything about it. And then CDs come along and it's like, oh, track number three.
yeah,
That's all I
Yeah.
know. You know,
right,
I don't even know the name.
Or the
And
hidden tracks
sometimes,
too.
yeah,
yeah. And sometimes like I'm guilty of this. A lot of people are where like the name of the song has nothing to do with the lyrics.
yeah,
So you're like, oh, it's that chorus where he's saying da 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 da, and it's like that song is not even
yeah. It's not even there. It's not even
yeah, it's not
mentioned.
even part of it. Um, but I remember driving around in my GMC and uh, after greetings, you know, from the inner self, I was
Yeah.
like, this is fucking awesome. And then Darling Nikki started, and I was like,
Huh?
really? All
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
And you know, driving home, and I think I sat in the driveway to let it finish.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, that's yeah,
Well,
fucking
that just
cool.
happened.
Yeah, I was like, that's cool. But like I think it's a cool way to finish it off. It's
Yeah.
almost like there's a bit of it adds a bit of like levity because the rest
Mhm.
of the album is very heavy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean just musically.
Right.
Like some of these words that you've written are they get me thinking, you
Right.
know. And Darling Nikki was just like a nice little like palate
Palate
cleanse at the
cleanser.
end.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah. It's just it's really, really super cool.
Cool. Thanks.
So you're almost 30 years on from this album, and you guys just started doing some reunion shows.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, maybe backing up a little bit, the way
yeah.
that kind of started up was I have a good friend of mine named Jason Beater. He owns a record store here in town, just like a mile down the street from where I live. So I'm down there all the time. But he was wanting to start like a record label to just do like vinyl reissues.
Mm.
And for a while he had been asking me like, what would that be like? And what do you think would be involved with doing a Dead of the World vinyl reissue? And I was just like, oh man, I don't know. I mean, I was kind of discouraging it because I was kind of like, man, you don't want to get involved in all that because where we really didn't know what was going on, it just seemed like something unattainable, and it's just going to be a headache to deal with.
Yeah.
And so he had been kind of asking me about that for a while, and then at one point, a guy named Eula Garrett that worked for Century Media at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I still talk to him occasionally on social media, but I don't know, we were talking about something, and he said something about how he has his own business now where he helps get licensing for reissues and things like that. And he was like, if someone's ever trying to, get a reissue for Dead the World, let me know. I can help them out. So I was
Mm.
kind of like, so then the next time my friend Jason was asking about it, I was like, you know what, maybe you get in touch with Eula and he says he can help you. So I thought in my mind, I'm like, okay, that's the end of that because he's gonna hear the details and hear all the red tape and I think later that day he's like, all right, man, we're doing it. We're got an agreement in place and I was like, whoa, okay, so I guess we're gonna have a vinyl reissue. So he was looking to do the Dead of the World reissue as his first release for his his label imprint, which is Outer Orbit Records. He's got Orbit Records, the record shop, and then he's got Outer Orbit Records as his label.
Okay.
So so when that started coming together, and I think at the time I wasn't really talking very much with Chris and Mac, the other the bass player and guitar player. Wasn't really talking to them much, but I eventually like kind of like reached out to them like, hey, just let you know this is what's happening. There's going to be a reissue of Dead of the World coming out, and I'm kind of helping getting stuff together for the layout and stuff. If you guys want to, put your 2 cents in, and so it's kind of like, all right, here we go. And then so Jason, like where he owns that record store, he also like for the past 3 or 4 years, he does a record store day block party where they block off the street, they do live music, and they have food and beer, and it's really fun. And he was like, and I knew it was coming. It's like, man, what do you think of like you guys playing record store day this year? I was just like, in my mind, I was kind of like, man, I think everybody's done, because we over the years we had done like a couple of just like one-off like reunion gigs here and there, and we would do it and it was fine. But when it was done, we all just kind of, went back into our corners, our separate corners of the universe, and so I kind of felt like it had been a while. So I was kind of like, man, I really think everybody's kind of done with this. And so, I was thinking as like, Jason's doing all this stuff for this reissue. I was like, at least I could just ask them. I'll just ask them if they're interested in playing this gig. And so I reached out to those guys, and they were both like, yeah, let's do it. Of course, I'm like, wait a minute, let me repeat the question. I don't think you heard it. So, so they agreed to do it. And I think at that point, we had like 2 months before the gig. And so Chris, well, I should back up a little bit. At that point, we didn't really have a drummer in mind. And I knew of a guy named Joey Waters. He's a killer drummer. He previously was playing in a band called Dream the Electric Sleep, and he and Chris were playing in that band together, and they both live in Lexington right now. So I thought, well, he would be a great drummer to fill that slot, and plus Chris has already been playing with him, and so they've already kind of locked in as far as that goes. And so we thought, well, we could just have rehearsals every other weekend in Lexington. So that's what we did. Mac and I would drive up to Lexington and rehearse for that gig. And I think we only did like maybe 4 rehearsals. And
Wow.
it was hard too because I hadn't really been singing in a while. So trying to well, first of all, just if you're inactive singing, getting your voice back in shape is one thing, but also I'm singing stuff that I sang when I was 23 years old. So
Right. Good point.
that's the that was it's still a challenge, but so we were really cramming it in there, and we did the gig. The gig was awesome. Had a lot of people like traveled from all over the place to come see it. And it was really overwhelming. And so it's kind of sad too at the end of the night because there's a part of me is kind of like, well, I guess that's it. I guess this is where we all kind of retreat and into our corners. And but then like I think Mac came up to me at one point and was just like, yeah, I was talking to Chris and he's talking about maybe we should keep going. I was like, really? So I mean, all this is like I had no idea any of this was going to happen. So it's just like, so basically where we are now, we ended up playing like maybe a handful of other gigs after that. And since then we have kind of like toned down the gigs and we're just focusing on new stuff for another record.
Nice.
Right now I think we got about 12 songs we're kicking around and maybe a couple of handfuls of ideas that we're trying to put together before we start narrowing everything down. So the plan now is just to get these songs ironed out, and then we're going to do another record, hopefully record it this year. That would be great. But I hate to say when, because as soon as I say that, it'll be a year after that. So, this year would be a good goal to like get it recorded. And so that's kind of where we're at now.
And that's really, really good to hear. I was wondering if you
Yeah.
were gonna continue on. I'm stoked. Like,
Awesome. Yeah, we're gonna give it a shot, and we're having fun, and that's kind of like where we're all at right now. We just want to have fun, fun making music with our friends, and right now that's working out great for us. So we'll keep doing it as long as we can. I mean, again, the hardest thing is just being, those guys are in Lexington and we're here, but it's only 2 hours away, but still with life and schedules and stuff, it gets kind of tricky trying to figure all that out. So
yeah,
naturally, we have to kind of like when we do get together, we have to like make the best use of our time. But while we're not together, we're like demoing stuff a lot, just sending demos back and forth, and that has actually been working out really well for us because Joey's got a great setup in his basement. He can record his drums. His drums sound great when he records them. Like, every time we listen to like these demos he's recording, I'm like, man, we can just record the drums down here. And I think that's what we're gonna do. I
oh,
think
Nice.
we're
that's
gonna
cool.
end up recording a lot of it ourselves, and
Yeah,
then obviously have somebody else mix it or whatever. But anyway, but right now it's just kind of like a lot of ideas on how we're going to go, but the main focus is getting these songs fine-tuned and ready to record.
that's fantastic. I mean, you're already doing better. I live in the same city with all of my band, and we're lucky to see each other 4 times a month. So
Hard, man.
you're doing great.
I mean, I don't know. Being in a band, I don't know, like how did it get harder than it was? Because it was hard then. But
Dude,
now it's like, I actually have a credit card now. So it's like back then I mean, I would actually fare a lot better on the road now because I actually have a credit card that can get me out of trouble if I needed to. But no, there's still other things that make it hard to navigate. So, always something. But,
it's adult life.
at the same time, it's like I can't give it up, as long as I'm
Yeah.
still give it a shot.
Yeah. No, I
I
mean,
want to.
we use the term a lot, like, lifers, basically. And it's like,
Yeah.
I've been in a band since I was 15 years old.
Yeah.
That's 40 years ago. You know,
Wow.
I've never not been in a band that whole time. I don't know how to not be that guy. And I feel like yourself and a lot of the people we talk to are just like us,
Yeah.
where it's like,
Yeah.
this is just what I do. It's who
Yeah.
I am. If I didn't play music with my friends, I think I would lose my fucking mind. Even if I only do it
Yeah.
once a month, I know that I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it keeps me level,
It's a great point because when we're all doing this as kids, we're all
Mhm.
thinking the goal is get signed, become huge, blah blah blah. But as you go along further in life, you start weeding out the people that were doing it for reasons that were not the real reasons. And the real reasons was to create, and the real reasons was to make music that as it's created, it lasts. Like that was
Right.
the goal. And as you got older, you start to understand that. So if
Mhm.
you still have the ability to do that, that's a wonderful thing because you realize like, yeah, this is what it was the whole time. You saw
Yeah.
somebody something got you interested in music enough. And
Mhm.
then if you were that type of person, like Mark said, you became that lifer, you just didn't know it at that time.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's a special thing. But how cool that you guys get to come back and reconnect with not only each other, but this music.
Yep.
And then you get to move forward. Like, that's fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, as far as the end of our relationship with Century Media, we were actually demoing stuff for a second record around the time that they dropped us.
Okay.
So it's almost like finally we get to do another record, but I don't think any of those, maybe one of those songs may end up popping up on this one, but it's mostly going to be new stuff that that we're putting together now. But it's kind of nice to finally be able to put something else out. I
Yeah.
mean, if it happens, I mean, that's the plan. So barring anything weird.
Yeah, let's just put it out there into the universe
Yeah,
that
just enjoy
there
the
will be
ride,
new
man.
Chum music.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
enjoy
Yeah.
the ride for sure.
Yeah.
What a great conversation today. I
Yeah.
really, really appreciate you being on the show, and it was very cool. And not just for us, but I'm sure for the listeners too, to get a more understanding of like what happens. You know what I mean? And your journey. And I think it's great that you guys are playing together again. I think that's awesome. And I hope more people find you guys this time around. And I hope you guys just and have a better experience in the studio, right? And enjoy this next set of tunes that you're writing and just realizing you're still here to do it. And
Yeah.
if the songs work for you and they're great, that's all that matters. And if people dig them on top of that, that's the fucking cherry on
Bonus.
top, as we know, right? You know what I
Exactly.
mean? Is there anything you want to add before we let you go, John?
Um, well, I guess you can keep track with us via our website or social media. If you just go to chumwv.com, you'll see any links back to social media or anything else that we're on, and that should keep you up to date of what's happening. We'll try to do a little better keeping up keeping that stuff up to date, but yeah, I mean, as far as that goes, yeah, I just appreciate you guys reaching out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely.
absolutely. And we'll put in the show notes, we'll put links to your website and all that, and the
Cool. Appreciate it.
link to where
Yeah.
people can order the vinyl reissue and all that stuff. Like
Yeah.
whatever
Yeah,
you guys want to do, we can
yeah. I
put it
think I
on.
might have skipped over that, but yeah, the vinyl did come out. Jason
Yes.
put that vinyl out. I think I can't tell a story. Who are you kidding?
Oh, you're doing great.
But yeah, that the vinyl did come out. It's still available. You can actually, even if you come to our website on that, we will it'll redirect you to where you need to go if you're interested in picking up the vinyl.
Awesome.
Cool. Well,
Awesome.
we'll make all that happen for you. Thank you so much, dude. It's been really cool to get to connect and hear the stories, and yeah, just have like a cool talk about your awesome band. So
Yeah. Thanks, man. I appreciate you guys.
Awesome.
absolutely.
Thanks, John. Appreciate you, my
Thank
friend.